Alright, football fans, the drama of the NFL draft isn't just about who gets picked. It's often about the wheeling and dealing. The trades, the offers teams make behind the scenes that can reshape the entire landscape of the league. And at the very top of the draft board, holding that coveted number 1 overall pick, a team has the ultimate leverage. They can take the player they believe in, or they can stockpile an absolute fortune of draft capital from teams desperate to move up. This year, the Tennessee Titans held that power, sitting at number 1 overall. And while it had been widely reported for weeks that the Titans were locked in on selecting quarterback Cam Ward from the University of Miami, what we've learned since the draft finished reveals just how much conviction they had in that decision. The Titans were reportedly offered deals that most teams, especially a team coming off a tough 3-14 season with needs across the board, would find incredibly difficult to refuse. Except, the Titans did refuse them. Cam Ward is now officially the chosen one for the Tennessee Titans. Christened as the number 1 pick on Thursday night, and expected to be the new face of hope for a struggling franchise embarking on a significant rebuilding effort under second-year head coach Brian Callahan and new general manager Mike Borgonzi. Ward, a rags-to-riches story who transformed himself from a zero-star high school recruit starting at a smaller FCS program to a Heisman finalist at Miami, reportedly checked all the boxes for the Titans. He's got a rocket arm, a high football IQ, strong leadership qualities, and important intangibles. The reporting indicates the Titans pretty much settled on Ward about a month ago and never wavered from that decision. But that conviction was put to the ultimate test by the offers flooding in for that number 1 pick. The Titans reportedly refused multiple trade proposals, including one that has been described as a blockbuster overture from the New York Giants. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Giants offered a package of picks that included 2 first-round selections, their 3rd overall pick in this year's draft, and their first-round pick next year in the 2026 NFL Draft. That's an enormous amount of draft capital. 2 first-round picks, including an immediate TOP3 pick and a valuable future first-rounder, for the chance to move up just 2 spots to take Cam Ward. No deal. The Titans wouldn't budge. Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi, speaking after the first round, explained the thought process. I did want to listen, because I think you had to do your due diligence and listen. Borgonzi said, I did that. But I think we came to a decision. We weren't going to move off that pick and we wanted Cam. It's entirely natural for teams to call, and it would have been completely understandable, maybe even expected, for the Titans to be tempted by the opportunity to build additional draft capital, especially considering their roster needs. Just look at the trade the Jaguars pulled off to move up to number 2 for Travis Hunter. That deal also involved sending next year's first-rounder to the Browns, highlighting the premium teams are willing to pay for their guy at the very top. Yet, in the Titans' case, they looked at that massive haul being offered, and they saw no better value than to bank everything on Cam Ward's potential to become the franchise quarterback they so desperately need. How much would it have actually taken for another team to trade the number 1 pick away from the Titans? According to Borgonzi, when you identify a franchise quarterback, the price becomes irrelevant. If you identify a franchise quarterback, there's really not a price you can pay for that in my mind, said Borgonzi, who spent 16 years rising through the ranks in the Kansas City Chiefs front office, intimately watching the development of Patrick Mahomes into the NFL's best quarterback. That background gives Borgonzi a unique reference point for recognizing and valuing elite quarterback potential. He added, that's the most important position in sports. If you come to a consensus, and we did, that he has the potential to be that. Borgonzi specifically highlighted Ward's ability to quickly process information on the field as something that particularly won him over during the evaluation process. Head coach Brian Callahan echoed the praise, hailing Ward's leadership ability and the intangibles he brings to the position. Ward himself, the 22-year-old who set a Division I record with 158 career touchdown passes across his 5 seasons at Incarnate Word, Washington State, and Miami, felt that the Titans were struck by his unique journey. He was confident, telling reporters on draft night that he thought I was the guy all along. Callahan was apparently convinced early on, particularly after his initial 15-minute interview with Ward at the Combine. where he was impressed by Ward's presence and football mentality. For Callahan, who has experience helping to develop a number 1 overall pick in Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals, selecting Ward means they can finally get to work on grooming their new star pupil and, as he put it, stop pretending about all the things we've had to pretend about over the course of the last couple of months. Earlier in the week, during a pre-draft press conference, Borgonzi was asked what his message would be to teams calling about the top pick. His blunt, confident reply? "Don't bother calling." Callahan reinforced that sentiment, saying, "Ultimately, we felt like Cam's a player we weren't going to let go anywhere else." He delivered the final, decisive quote about the value of their new quarterback. "A caliber of a player like Cam, priceless. There's no price you put on that from a draft capital standpoint, because if those players end up being what you think they're capable of, those picks don't matter when it comes to future picks." In other words, the Titans looked at multiple first-round picks, a massive haul that could accelerate a rebuild, and decided that Cam Ward's potential was worth more than all of it combined. There was no offer they couldn't refuse, because for them, Cam Ward was truly priceless. The decision to pass on a potential franchise-altering trade package for one player is an immense show of conviction. The pressure is now squarely on Cam Ward, Brian Callahan, and Mike Borgonzi to prove that decision was the right one. That Ward truly is the priceless, franchise-changing quarterback they believe he is. Only time will tell, but the Tennessee Titans sent a clear, bold message with the number 1 pick. For them, Cam Ward was the one and only option. Alright, let's talk about the biggest decision of the NFL draft, the number 1 overall pick. As expected, the Tennessee Titans selected quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami as the very first player taken on Thursday night. But the real story here isn't just who they picked, but the fact that they picked him despite having opportunities to trade away that number 1 spot. According to reports, the Titans received multiple trade offers for the top pick, and ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that one offer, specifically from the New York Giants, was a blockbuster that included 2 first-round picks, this year's number 3 overall pick and the Giants' first-round pick next year. That is a massive haul of draft capital that could help a team with needs all over the roster. But the Tennessee Titans said no. They refused to budge from the number 1 spot. Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi said they did their due diligence and listened to offers, but ultimately came to a firm decision that they weren't going to move off that pick because they wanted Cam. He said, "If you identify a franchise quarterback, there's really not a price you can pay for that." Adding that in his mind, "It's the most important position in sports." Head coach Brian Callahan echoed that, saying Ward was a player they weren't going to let go anywhere else. Their conviction in Ward was absolute. They were sold on his rocket arm, high football IQ, leadership, processing ability, and intangibles. They were impressed by his unique journey from a 0-star recruit to a Heisman finalist and believe his path has prepared him. Ward himself felt the conviction too, saying, "He thought I was the guy all along." In a draft where we saw teams like the Jaguars trade a similar package of picks, including a future first, to move up to number 2, the Titans' decision to hold on to number 1 for Ward highlights just how much they believe in him. Borgonzi, who saw Patrick Mahomes develop up close in Kansas City, said a player of Ward's caliber is priceless. So, while trading down could have brought in a significant amount of draft capital to address multiple needs, the Titans' leadership was resolute. They identified their guy in Cam Ward, believed his potential to be a franchise quarterback was simply not something you trade away at any price, and stuck to their conviction. He is the chosen one, the player they are fully committed to building the future of the franchise around.